Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Deeanna and I make videos on mental health and self-improvement. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my experience as a mental health nurse, as a student mental health nurse, and also describing the positives and negatives and also the difficulties that I experienced on the placement and job that I was doing.
And trying to remain so strong. I know it's good if I'm alone. I got it.
So to put it in context, I studied mental health nursing for a year and that is where I met Saskia. If you've been a long sort of standing member of this channel, if you have subscribed to me since the beginning, you will know that Saskia has been on my channel before, and to put it in context, that's where I met Saskia. Saskia is now a fully fledged mental health nurse and I am so proud of her. But going back to myself, I only completed the first year of mental health nursing, so I did that and I was proud that I had taken the leap to do that, and I was proud that I had tried. But going into mental health nursing, my main thing was I'm going into mental health nursing to help somebody else, and I really wanted to start sort of giving back to the mental health community. And I now believe that even though I dropped out of mental health nursing, and even though I know now that I would never want to go back to mental health nursing, I'm doing sort of like giving back to the mental health community in a different way, working on YouTube and trying to spread awareness for certain conditions and talking about my experience of mental health, I think is helping the community in a different way. But the first challenge that I really experienced of, sort of doing the mental health nursing was the shift patterns. So for me, the shift patterns were hard to kind of get a grips with because I don't sleep very well, and because my medication means that I can be quite drowsy at times and just not really have a good sleep schedule. It meant that getting up for 6 o'clock to be at the placement for 7 was just almost like near on impossible. I mean, I managed to do it and I managed to be there like 9 times out of 10, I think it was, like over 90% of the time I was there for handover, and I was there at the beginning. But as a student, if you're not counting the numbers as a student, so if you come in and if you don't come in, the only person that's going to lose out is yourself, because you need to have so many hours to get qualified. So if you go there and if you get your hours, that's obviously good for you, but if you don't get your hours, you're gonna have to make that up in order to be qualified. So my first placement was really hard. The placement that I did was very hard. The placement that I did was on a ward-based setting, and I just struggled with the shift patterns. I was given the option of doing 3 long days a week, so 3 12-hour shifts, or doing 5 9 to 5 sort of shifts, and that would have been also okay. But for me, I just weighed up the pros and cons. I said, would I rather want to wake up early 3 days a week or wake up early 5 days a week? Obviously not as early, but would I want to wake up early was the question. And so I said to myself, oh yeah, I want to wake up like 3 days a week early and then be here for like, once I'm here it's less bus fare, and once I'm here I should then be able to like just get everything sorted. But that posed some other struggles. So my next struggle was being on my feet all the time. For someone like myself who does have chronic pain and knows I'm diagnosed with chronic pain now, obviously in hindsight is a wonderful thing, but at the time I was not diagnosed as having chronic pain, and I was going into these shifts doing 12 hours and coming home and my feet just burning and being so sore at the end of the day that, thinking, well, this can't be right, like this surely can't be right, like nurses must not go and do a 12-hour shift and then come back and have their feet burning every single time, because that can't be right. And unbeknownst to me, my feet were burning because I had chronic pain and because I was overdoing it. And even now I know that if I overdo it, I might be bedridden for the next day. So like, for example, I just recorded a video on my other channel where I was completely blitzing and tidying my wardrobe, and I literally was in bed the next day because I was so tired and I was in so much pain. My lower back was giving me so much pain that I just couldn't do it. So it was a lot, but I'm so glad that I did it. By the way, my wardrobe is the 2 white doors behind me, and I basically put in a chest of drawers and basically hung up and just changed the whole layout of it. So if you want to go and see that video, it should be up by now. If you want to go and see it, I'll leave a link on there. I think it's that side, the card above. But the next difficulty that I experienced was there was a lot of learning. And I'm grateful that I started learning, but also it was hard hard to learn in a ward-based environment because the ward-based environment was so busy that, you know, there wasn't a lot of time for anyone to really have time to dedicate it to somebody who's learning. And although technically a student nurse that comes in is the future of the mental health nursing, it was hard to have a dedicated mentor, and it was also hard to like grasp a lot of the learning, especially with me having additional needs. So I'm diagnosed with dyslexia and dyspraxia, meaning that I do struggle with words and I do struggle with communication in some aspects. And when I say it was hard to get a mentor, I don't mean that we didn't have mentors, because each student had to have a mentor to sign you off. But what I meant is it was hard to have quality time with that mentor. And yeah, it was definitely just difficult to actually get the grasp of that learning, and it was just so busy within the ward environment that it was hard to learn, basically, for somebody who has the additional needs and having only the first placement and not really knowing, you know, a lot, basically. So the next problem that I came across was the comparison. So I was on a placement with another student from my class, and the comparison that was given between us two, that I was made fully aware of from the actual qualified nurses, was horrible. Like, she basically got hold of things a lot easier and was able to understand things a lot easier, whereas because I had like the dyslexia and other problems, I just didn't grasp it as quickly, and I was constantly being compared to her. Like, it was like, but your friend has it, your friend can do it. And I was like, well, my friend can do it, okay, but she's a completely different person to me. And it was hard to actually have that like individualized care and attention as a student, because I was constantly being compared to like a colleague of mine that was seemingly supposed to know exactly the same amount as me. And there was many nurses who would turn around to me and they would say, well, why don't you know that your friend knows that? And obviously I know that when they say my friend, they're referring to this other girl from my class, but I didn't know as much as her. And that's okay, by the way. If you're struggling to learn, you're struggling to grasp the idea of certain elements in a course or a study, whatever you're doing, or even just in work in general, it's okay to ask for help. And I didn't ask for as much help as I needed to ask for. I asked for some support from my lecturers, and at one point I had a lecturer that came in once a week and allowed me to just vent, and she was lovely, and to this day I thank her. She was, you know, was the most inspiring and lovely person that I knew within my course. She knew a lot about my traumas, and she knew a lot about sort of all the mental health issues that I'd had and the socialization aspect of it, and, you know, not really understanding social cues but then being expected to understand social cues. And she was fully aware of like all the issues I was having with the nurses and with the mental side of things, and she would come in once a week to almost have be a second mentor for me. And she allowed me to kind of go to the canteen with her, have an hour out that would still count as my hours for my actual like learning and whatever, but it would basically be an hour out of the ward where I could just talk to her about everything. And she was so lovely because she would listen to my frustrations and then give some advice as to what I could do that would be better. And at one point I was going to answer the door for her, knowing that she was going to be there sort of, you know, any sort of time. And to put in perspective, these doors for these wards are locked and you can open them with a card. So I had a student card that allowed me to sort of open the doors for people and to sort of let them in. And one of the patients who was very unwell, she was trying to basically come out of the ward, and she said, I want to go out, like, you're going to open that door? And I goes, yeah, I'm going to open the door, but I'm not going to open it if you're going to run for the front door. And so she goes, well, I want to go out. And I goes, but you understand at the moment you're not very well. And she said, yeah, I don't feel very well. And I said, so you're here because you don't feel very well and you need to stay in the ward at the moment? And she goes, okay. And then she starts walking off in the other direction. And then I go and answer the door to my lecturer, and she said, that was really well handled, by the way. And that's the first thing she said. She didn't even say hi, which I thought was, you know, obviously the hi is the first thing you would say, but she commended me straight away for how I had handled the situation. Like, she couldn't hear everything that was being said, but she said, I want you to tell me exactly what you did. But from looking at what you were doing, you know, you put your hand on her arm and you were comforting and you spoke to her and you dealt with that situation on your own. You didn't need to go and get anyone to help you. You were able to say things to her that obviously made her realise that she needed to go back into the ward, and she did. And she said to me, that's so well done. Like, I'm so proud of you. And that just made me smile. That made me feel like that I was actually doing something right. And that lecturer, if you're listening to this right now, which I doubt you are, but if you're listening to this, thank you very much. I love that about you, the fact that you would give me constructive criticism and you would help me with all the things that I had, problems with and struggles with. And yeah, it was definitely a great experience having you to support me on that placement. And even though I didn't finish, I do thank you for your help and attention in terms of trying to support me, because you definitely went above and beyond. You definitely went above and beyond what you needed to do. So to answer the question, is mental health nursing hard? The simple answer is yes. Yes, it is hard. Mental health nursing is never going to be easy, because you're going to come across people who are very, very unwell. And as somebody who's also been unwell themselves, I was triggered on a daily basis pretty much by some of the things that people would say. And that's why I failed, I think. And that's why I just wasn't able to complete the nursing. But as I said, I do believe that I'm giving back to the mental health community in a different way. I do believe that by making these videos and by sitting down and talking about my experiences, I'm hopefully helping at least one person out there. And I'm hopefully helping people to understand, whether it's helping somebody in the respect of talking about a story that's, that's able to make them realise that they don't need to kill themselves, or if it's to a point where, I'm helping a fellow sort of mental health nurse, or I'm helping a support worker who wants to go into mental health nursing, or a support worker who's already in mental health, to understand that, like, just because somebody self-rescues in an attempt to end their own life, it doesn't mean that they don't actually want to kill themselves. Like, if I can help either an understanding side of things, or if I can help someone that is suffering with mental health, that would make me so happy. Like, to help someone realise that they're not alone, and that I do believe in you, even if nobody else does make me feel warm inside. When I get comments from you guys, and I get comments to say that I've helped you, or I get comments to say that, that I've given you some good tips. Like recently, my video about the PIP assessment and about how to apply for PIP with your mental health has literally blown up over the past month or so, and it's become one of my top videos on my channel. And some of the comments I've had on those videos, on that video, has then led people to go and watch other of my videos. And I can't thank everyone enough for all the new subscribers that have joined the channel recently and have helped me get to 250 subscribers. I can't thank you enough, because this is something that obviously I want to do as a full-time job, and to be able to have people support me in that sense, and to actually subscribe and gain and want to support me on this journey to spread mental health awareness is just magical. I love it. I love how people just, they like my videos, which is, when you make videos, you just kind of don't always think that they're the best, but I put it out there because I know that I've got some important stuff to say, and I know that I want to help people. So with that being said, that is it for today's video. Thank you very, very much for watching, and please don't forget that I believe in you, even if nobody else does. Bye.
Just like you're young again, no, don't you cry. Just get back up again.